My friends, good day. I was reading some scientific publications and it's quite frightening. The prevalence of narcissism among CEOs in corporate management. In fact, when you look at the general population, it means that if you go on a bus or the subway and you pick people at random, a group, you'll see that narcissistic tendencies are very low. So depending on the sources, it's around 1 to 3 or 4%, not much more than that. On the other hand, if you look at company executives, especially CEOs, it goes up to 21, 22, even up to 25%. You see, that's huge. It goes up to a very high number. There's another place where you find similar numbers, and that's in prisons. That means that literally a lot of CEOs could have been in another life prisoners in high security facilities. If they hadn't decided, instead of committing crimes against people, if they hadn't decided to commit them in an economic context and then go extract the maximum value by crushing people in their path. And by the way, in the Harvard Journal, I found an interesting figure that CEOs who showed psychopathologies or advanced forms of narcissism were generally, listen to this, better paid than their peers. But with lower performance, you see there's a cost, there's an economic cost. For narcissism, the company pays someone who is a megalomaniac, someone who is full of himself, someone who is violent, who is brutal. And in the end, after all, that's it. The company loses money because they're not necessarily the smartest or the most skilled or the most professional. And we also find, just to make my numbers complete, we find these abnormally high statistics among politicians who are able to lie, to make promises, and then go shake hands, mingle with crowds, talking to an electorate, talking to people who have real difficulties, real problems, gaining their trust, getting elected, and then afterwards, well, going to party with billionaires and completely changing gears. So it requires things that people like you and me aren't able to do. It's not something, because look, I'm not saying that we're saints necessarily, the rest of us who aren't part of that group, but if we do something that's out of character for us, well, we'll feel bad, we'll suffer, we'll have more pain. We might have hurt someone because one day we made a mistake in judgment or something else, and hurt someone. And sometimes 10 years later, we remember it and we still have a hard time with it. You see, psychos, those who are into psychopathology, don't feel that. They're not in that mood. They have zero empathy. And why do they have zero empathy? Because if you look, they're capable of stabbing people in the back morning, noon, and night and living just fine with it. If you make one mistake, you won't sleep for years. Him, he can do all the wrong you've done since you were born. He can do it in a week and then live just fine with it and do even worse the following week. You see, that's it. That's the difference. It's this natural violence they have. And unfortunately, the company selects for that. It means the company rewards that kind of attitude. Even though companies tell you, yes, we have values, we are a big family, all that. Companies reward that kind of people, I told you. Even according to official figures, statistics in scientific journals, the most brutal, the most beastly CEOs, well, are better paid. Just to show you, you see? So you need to know one thing. A company is not a neutral place. A company is a tool for economic extraction. They want to extract from their customers, from nature, when they pollute nature, when they go abroad and then dump chemicals into the air, into rivers, into things. That's also a form of extraction. It's also a form of violence against nature, against humanity, against the earth. And then another kind of violence that employees experience every day is violence against workers. It's about extracting the maximum. Let me tell you something. When you see, for example, a woman who works, I saw it, for 18 years in a company, for example, working in marketing. Her husband is ill, she's nearing retirement, and she does excellent work. And then you have a 24-year-old girl named Claudia who is going to summon her to the office. And while she's in tears, well, she tells her, well, I'm notifying you of your dismissal as of today. You see, you're not capable of doing it. You couldn't do it even with a gun to your head. You wouldn't do it. You see, that's the difference between you and those people. You see, that's what they're capable of doing. Not only does she do it, but she feels good about it and she's going to laugh. After the coffee machine and in the afternoon, she's capable of doing that to someone else. and the next day and the day after that and the day after that without any problem. You see, I'm trying to open your eyes to those people. I use the chief executive officer as an example at the start, but they're usually an extreme case and not close to your situation. But you have to know that this kind of violence cascades down the hierarchical ladder. And the higher you go up the hierarchical ladder, the more you'll find people with this kind of tendency. What I'd like to tell you today about this is that you can't fight these people on their own turf. They're mentally disturbed. You're not going to fight them by being worse than they are. You just can't. That's why there are several things you need to do. First, emotional disengagement, because these are people who control you through emotion. They really like that. Oh yes, we're disappointed in you. You're not really like you used to be. We feel like you're not really the same person anymore. You don't have the same level of motivation. Your work is affected by it, okay? You need to be cold about that. You let them talk. You don't care at all about what they think or feel. The only thing is you cover yourself, right? You cover yourself. Very important. You don't give them the objective way. When they talk to you like that with feelings, you bring it back to the facts. Objective, because you have, for example, numbers that allow you to say that. You have objective elements. Because me, look, I have everything in an Excel sheet. And I realize that this year I've done more projects than last year. This year I brought more money to the J-Skill, I handled more cases, I processed more cards, I traveled more kilometers, I did more of everything. You take what are your metrics by which you're measured, never let them drag you onto the field of emotions because they don't have any. Listen, I'll be clear. When these people use emotions to talk to you, they're trying to manipulate you. Deep down, they're cold and have no real feelings. They're vipers. If they discuss feelings with you, it's because they believe you have them and feed on them. And so they're going to use this kind of tool, this kind of trick to try to get to you. How should I put it, for example, to make you feel guilty, for example, to make you uncomfortable? And all of that is manipulation. Secondly, document everything. Just like I told you, you have to document everything. You shouldn't let conversations with them become subjective. There's nothing subjective between us. We're focused on the objective. We're talking. I weighed 10 kilos of soil slope for you, but if you're not satisfied, we can weigh them again on a different scale. Just don't let anyone say, it seems like there's less. It's exactly 10 kilos, no more, no less. We weighed it, there are kilos, that's all. So don't let him drag you into subjective territory. Develop your social capital. That means, for example, try to have as many connections as possible inside the company. Try to get to know as many people as you can. No more first names in your department, but also outside your department. Try to take part in lots of things. Also make an effort to go when they have meals, when they have get-togethers. I know, and I hate it. Okay, we're clear on that. I'm not advertising for it when we go to the restaurant. For me, going to the restaurant is work. As soon as I see a colleague's face, it's work. If I'm at the supermarket on the weekend and I see a colleague walk by, he says, hi, that's it, the weekend is over, it's a work day now. Okay, let me tell you something, and honestly, they really did the right thing. Look at the unions, for example, the rail unions in the United Kingdom, which are still the last frontier fighting against the exploitation of man by man. Well, they got their management to agree that if they're eating, imagine there are railway workers sitting on the ground eating. Let's say they have a 1-hour break. And if their manager, their supervisor, walks by and says, hi guys, even if they just say hello, well, their break gets reset. They have to start over. Even if they've already been on break for 45 minutes, they have to start again from zero. Now, he's not allowed to talk to them, not even to say hello, not even to say hi or excuse me. Very important, because as soon as he's allowed, it might seem excessive, but no, because as soon as he's allowed to say hello, he'll come and say hello. Oh yes, by the way, that thing, did you install it? The truck, it came. And from there, you find yourself with your sandwich in hand, running after a truck, loading something, or you abandon your meal and go to work, you see, so it's very important. And unfortunately, union struggles, unfortunately, you know that unions were banned for a very long time. For many years, you could go to prison just for wanting to form a union. Unions are quite recent, and unfortunately, union struggles or union culture are being lost. So obviously, if we don't have this tool to have a showdown with employers, with management, we can't get very far. And then, like I told you, Develop your social capital, develop your skills, invest in yourself. Why? Because they can pull the rug out from under you at any moment. So you shouldn't rely on them. And let me tell you something. Why? It's important. It's mentally important. When I tell you to always keep your resume ready, be prepared, always stay up to date with the market, get information, keep your contacts outside your company, keep your LinkedIn up to date, keep a LinkedIn that works, talk to other companies. Why am I telling you this? It's to make you stronger, not just operationally. Yes, operationally, it's good to stay up to date like that. The day you get fired, the day there's a layoff, the day your company goes under, yes, you can grab your things and leave right away. That's good. Operationally, that's great. Instead of finding yourself saying, I don't even have an updated resume. But I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about the edge. I'm talking about the psychological advantage it gives you. That's what it's like when you're equipped in the job market and you know you have strong skills. I can tell you it's like armor in the company. You show up mentally armored. Why? Because you're not afraid of them and don't overthink. If they fire me, I'll end up sleeping under bridges. If they fire me, I won't have anything to eat. If they fire me, I'm going to die. If you think like that psychologically, it's going to crush you. You'll be drunk under people who, as I told you at the beginning of the video, are already psychopaths. But if on top of that, you're mentally weakened because you know you don't have a plan B, I can tell you they're going to crush you. And then your mental health will suffer, your career will suffer. But if you know that you're professionally secure, you're really on equal footing, you're not afraid of being fired. And that will give you a different aura at work. It will give you strength at work. It will give you a psychological advantage over them. I'm asking you to develop yourself. I'm not saying you should leave or resign tomorrow. Just focus on self-improvement. As if your company were going to close next Monday, and if you do that, it doesn't actually have to close next Monday. But if you do it, you'll see that mentally, it's going to give you an insane kind of armor. You'll be like a battleship inside those offices lit up by nothingness. Thank you, my friends, for watching this video until now. Good luck. We keep fighting and we'll see each other soon.